historic moment for FIU.
I am most excited to hear Kamala Harris speak about climate change.
As Miami's public university welcomed the vice president with open arms. Collaborations and agreement.
This flooding issue has been going on for decades.
Two organizations teaming up to combat natural disasters and inequity. And a potential new set for Hollywood writers.
We need creative people.
As their return could come into play. These stories and more coming up on Newsbreak.
Hello, South Florida. I'm Samantha Gutierrez.
And I'm Julian Davis. Today is Friday, September 29th, 2023.
Live from the Lee Caplin School of Journalism and Media in North Miami, this is Caplin News.
New video released by the Broward Sheriff's Office showing a brazen attack on a home. A group of vandals targeted a Parkland home not once, not twice, but 3 times. And this time it gets out of hand.
The network's Leanne Abutar-Bush was in the control center this morning.
Caught on camera, a group of teenagers has repeatedly targeted a home in Parkland, and each time it keeps getting more and more violent. These teens have been on a vandalism spree for a few months now, but this Friday things have escalated way too far. This happened at around 10:25 p.m. You can see fireworks being thrown right by the backyard of this family home on the 10,000 block of Majestic Trail in Parkland. The family was at home during the time, but thankfully no injuries were reported. BSO say that it all started on July 2nd when they were seen throwing several beer cans into the backyard and swimming pool. And just a few days later, they threw eggs into the backyard. 3 people then were seen fleeing the area on a golf cart laughing. Now the BSO at Parkland need your help, so if you have any information, contact Crime Stoppers at 954-493-TIPS8477 or online at browardcrimestoppers.org. In the control center, I'm Leanne Abutar-Bush reporting for Caplin News.
The deadline for a potential government shutdown is getting closer, and the White House prepares for the worst. With less than 48 hours to prevent the government from running out of money, the chances for a recession are high. Since one party is not in total control of that White House, the House, and the Senate, there is little optimism that federal funding will keep flowing. The shutdown would affect military members and federal employees, with some required to work without pay.
A government shutdown is just yet another drag on the economy because it ends up disrupting lots of supply chains and lots of services.
A government shutdown is a worst case scenario for the department, so we continue to ask Congress to do its job and fund the government.
Both sides of Congress remain split about the shutdown, but the House has passed bills that are expected to arrive on time to the Senate.
Vice President Kamala Harris is back in D.C. this morning after speaking at FIU in front of a crowd filled with students. As Caplin's Virginia Tejadino reports, environmental justice, gun violence, and women's rights were just some issues that sparked some conversations at yesterday's event.
I'm counting on your leadership. I'm counting on your leadership.
Vice President Kamala Harris taking her fight to freedom to Florida International University.
She has enough intelligence and capacity to make that decision for herself, not her government telling her what to do.
Vice President Harris tried to captivate students to vote by speaking on important topics like reproductive rights, climate change, gun safety, voting rights, LGBTQ+ rights, and many more.
Productive and insightful.
FIU's president pointing out that students have the chance to start important conversations with the vice president.
I am most excited to hear Kamala Harris speak about climate change and the necessity for universities to get involved with research as well as to have climate action plans. That's personally something I'm working on, and I would love to hear her talk more about how she plans to involve Florida with that plan.
Very interested to see what she talks about. I don't know exactly why she's here or what it's for, but yeah, I'm intrigued.
This is Kamala Harris' 6th college tour and plans to visit about a dozen. This is Virginia Tejadino from Caplin News.
As natural disasters keep impacting communities across the nation, 2 organizations have teamed up to help those in desperate need. DC Bureau reporter Alexandra Howard has more on the NAACP and FEMA partnership.
As we all have seen recently, climate change continues to deeply affect the United States. But recovery efforts for Black communities during this time is a special mission for the NAACP and FEMA. The 2 organizations are partnering together to expand the 2013 agreement in advancing equity disaster relief for Black communities. It involves equitable support for emergency management, initiating recovery efforts, and in preparing for disasters. Also, according to research from Scientific American, flooding severely harms Black populations the most. President Harold Ford from the NAACP Southdade branch says this agreement will be impactful for South Florida.
First of all, it allows property, not just property owners, but renters, if they're in an area that continues to experience flooding, it'll allow FEMA to be notified, or gives us a conduit, a direct route to FEMA to say, hey, listen, we need to look at this, and if there's something else that needs to be done on a federal level to force, i.e. the municipality, whether it's Miami-Dade County or whatever city that particular problem exists, now the federal government can come in, i.e. through HUD or some agency, to say, hey, listen, you guys need to address this. This flooding issue has been going on for decades. So I think the agreement definitely opens the door and creates an opportunity for us as the NAACP to work with not just the federal government, but the local government to address these issues much with some teeth, as opposed to just filing, i.e. complaints or expressing concerns.
FEMA has not responded to our request for comment, but this agreement sparks a promise to help Black communities before, during, and after disasters. Reporting at FEMA headquarters for Caplin News, I'm Alexandra Howard.
A nearly 30-year-old missing persons case from Alabama may potentially be solved through the help of Hurricane Idalia in Florida. As a part of the state continuing to clean up from Idalia, authorities near Gainesville yesterday uncovered a truck from a nearby river that belongs to a missing person, James Toole.
It was a little scary because I know how easy that is to miss going down a ramp like that, and with the hurricane just going out, I thought it was maybe something from recent, but from 1995, it was kind of shocking.
72-year-old Toole disappeared 28 years ago and was supposed to visit a sick relative in Florida, but never arrived after he left Alabama. Found in the truck were cards bearing Toole's name, as well as remains, which have been taken to medical examiner's office for identification.
Recovery remains in Southwest Florida this morning, more than a year after Hurricane Ian. Yesterday in Cape Coral, officials unveiled a stone monument to honor the more than 150 lives lost. The monument also honors the resilience of those who helped the community bounce back.
Lights, camera, action are returning to Tinseltown this morning as the Writers Guild of America has unanimously voted on an agreement that has suspended the strike. Caplin's Anthony Cruz has more on the landmark deal.
The WGA has officially suspended their strike in Hollywood as of this week. Spanning 146 days, it was the second largest of its kind ever. The union's effects seem to have been worth it, though, as it managed to reach an agreement on a contract that has been labeled a historic accomplishment for both Hollywood and labor movements in general.
We need creative people. Original creative people is always the first and foremost thing. I know AI is taking over and it's a real big thing right now, but it's nothing like the human brain and what we can do when we come together. So I think that's really special that we stick together and we put forth that effort.
The main components that the writers were able to negotiate into the deal centered around receiving large and more sustainable cuts from their labor over time throughout viewership-based residuals, while also ensuring that there are regulations in place to maintain their job security in a climate where corporations are pushing the advances of AI as a means to cut costs on production.
I feel tentatively great. I mean, it's a tentative deal, so I'm feeling really good.
As of now, the contract is expected to be ratified towards the beginning of October. Many of the terms in it are set to just last 3 years, so the Guild has the flexibility to reevaluate them and adapt according to the successes and failures brought by them.
We are glad that it's potentially over, but we know that it's not over. You throw a rock into the sea, you will get a ripple effect for a long time.
Though his decision is projected to accelerate the SAG-AFTRA strike, in the event that it continues even longer, the majority of WGA members look to continue standing in solidarity with the Actors Guild by working on projects that do not interfere or undermine its goals.
Even if this deal goes through, we still have to get the actors paid, because our words are meaningless unless we have our talented friends out there putting them on the screen.
The Marlins had the lead when the raindrops started falling, and an update on the playoff race.
That's still ahead, and so is the story.
I saw this wild ride that was happening, the intensity of it.
The world of investments and video games making its way to cinemas today. Newsbreak will be back in 2 minutes.
Radcliffe Art and Design Incubator is the velocity accompanying the fellow's rudder, as in a boat. Unless there is movement or action, the planned direction is of little consequence. We encourage the creative ideas into action, and from the experience of doing, we critically assess the feedback, adjust, and set out to rediscover the potentialities of an entrepreneurial mindset.
Stem is precise, no margin for error.
Dare to forget that. Dare to have fun with it. Get weird with it. Dare to send those old STEM theories flying past the neighbor's house into outer space. Dare to program something internet-breaking, record-breaking. Dare to blow their minds. Dare to learn the difference between sedimentary and metamorphic rock. Go find those rocks. Dare to keep daring. Dare to STEM. Check out She Can STEM to get started.
The David and Goliath saga of the GameStop stock battle is now a Hollywood movie with all-star cast. In early 2021, everyone was suddenly talking about the investment in a struggling video game chain.
Caplin News reporter Sophia Parades has a preview of the new movie, Dumb Money.
Holy. I will tell you, I've never seen anything like it.
Holy. Is the craziest I think I've ever seen.
Everything okay?
$11 million? What are you gonna do? Get a Ferrari? What the?
Oh, language. The baby's here.
Dumb Money sets up the GameStop stock drama as a clear battle between everyday retail investors and their well-heeled counterparts.
Wall Street is betting that this company is going to fail. And if it fails, these hedge fund people make a ton of money.
My 24-year-old son was living with us, and he was involved in Wall Street bets. So I got to live vicariously through him. I saw this wild ride that was happening, the intensity of it.
Babe, how much did we make today?
$5 million.
How much did we lose today?
$1 billion.
And yesterday?
$4 million.
And yesterday?
$1 billion.
It was just a visceral ride. And that intensity, that emotion, is what I wanted to capture in the film.
You got rich dudes pissing in their pants right now. They're coming after you.
We need to talk about the GameStop situation.
Retail traders always lose.
The writer-producers say it wasn't just about the money.
He spent all this time on Wall Street Bets and watching these TikToks and seeing the joy people felt in, that buying the stock actually made them feel part of something.
And you don't need to be a stock market whiz to understand the movie. For Caplin News, I am Sophia Paredes.
Last night, the Marlins played the Mets, but the game does not count due to the weather delay in the 9th inning. The Marlins are half a game ahead of Chicago for the last playoff spot because the Cubs lost to Atlanta. The Fish are continuing their games with a matchup against the Pittsburgh Pirates at PNC Park, taking place tonight at 6:35 p.m.
Unfortunately, that's all the time we have for Newsbreak. I'm Julian Davis.
I'm Samantha Gutierrez. Get more news anytime at caplinnews.fiu.edu.